Welcome to Recovery Talk Live, an ongoing open discussion about psychological, emotional, and spiritual recovery. Our mission is to deliver the message that those who are suffering with emotional trauma can recover. And later in our program today, we have our very first ever guest on Recovery Talk Live as we welcome Sue Rhoades, recovery leader from The Gate Christian Community Center and Church. And now, here are your hosts, Don and Terry.
Hey, welcome to our first live episode of Recovery Talk, and we're so happy to be here. I'm Don Maxwell. Who are you?
Terry Liddell.
And we know we're using our last names because, as we were telling Colin earlier, we're out of the closet.
We're out of the closet. Okay, what does out of the closet mean?
That means as far as recovery goes, that means our hurts, habits, and hang-ups, the things we've done to blow it and getting better, we're open about it. We don't hide when we're not ashamed.
So you're suggesting possibly we have a certain amount of health?
Yes. Relatively, on certain days, I have exhibited some margins of health.
Whoa.
I know, it's new and you've never seen it, but
I'm impressed.
It exists.
I'm impressed.
It exists.
So, yeah.
I've made it here today.
You did.
Even though you saved me.
I did, it's true.
I was driving around aimlessly.
Aimlessly driving hither and yon, as it were.
Well, it's were. And today we are going visual because we realized we're so fascinating that our audio presentation wasn't enough for you to grasp the full content of what we're doing. So you can see how we interact at a much deeper personal level. Isn't that right, Terry?
We're going to talk about safe people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you implying that I'm not safe?
I'm just suggesting that there's safe people and there's unsafe people. And I think in this process, learning the differences, you and I have come a ways. So
yes.
we're pretty safe for most people.
Yes.
But I think in some cases, just the way we go about what we're doing, the way that we interact with people, is what really, I guess, safe people for me are people that I can trust and believe in. Yeah. And that isn't true, especially in early parts of our journey. We went around with a lot of people who were not safe.
But let's just define, in case you were unfortunate and didn't hear our audio versions of introducing ourselves, and you really should go back and hear that because it was quite fascinating, I have to say. We are 12-step recovery people, and we are trying to come alongside just to mainstream this, that you don't have to be a drug addict or an alcoholic to go into a 12-step recovery program. You could be a sex addict or a liar or a shopper or a gambler or, secretly doing things when your husband's at work. Recovery is for everyone, and we are here to talk about that. So if you're not shooting heroin, don't think you have to change the channel, because this is recovery for everyone from life's bombs that blow us up and change our behaviors. I just want to give a brief description.
I think when you look at for example, codependency, with my definition is basically any kind of behavior that really doesn't work.
Right.
When you're in a relationship with somebody that you care about. So if we look at recovery as just getting healthier in a process, then I think that pretty much covers the bases.
It does. Now sometimes you can be in an unhealthy relationship with yourself. Denial, lying to yourself.
Okay.
Okay. For me, I am Dawn, and I am a recovering codependent. I'm also a survivor of physical, sexual, and emotional abuse from childhood. So those are my areas. So I'm not afraid to put that out there. Okay. As a codependent, I tend to lie to myself and pretend like things happening around me aren't really happening so that I don't have to deal with them or focus on myself. That's what codependency is.
Codependency
for me,
is for you.
Or an addiction to another person, which I'm also very good at.
Okay. So codependency for you is when you continue an unhealthy behavior or allow people around you to continue an unhealthy behavior.
Yes.
Okay.
And enable it and make it a little easier.
So you actually assist them in their unhealthy.
Yes. I have been known to do this over the years. That's an area I'm in constant recovery of. I can say that I've overcome the abuse part, because I really have. I've moved even past survivor to overcomer. It doesn't yank my chain anymore. Okay. Codependency, relational stuff, ongoing for me.
So when you go back to safe people in your life, before you got into the journey of recovery, what was unsafe?
Basically, myself, and I just tried to please unsafe people. Unsafe people in my life, I would do anything to earn their love, their trust, be approved by them. Actually, as a codependent, I went and sought out to get my identity from somebody else. If you loved me and validated me, then I was okay. I didn't have any self-worth or trust of my own opinion and esteem of myself. It's true. Don't look completely mortified. I'm not the first person to dance on that road.
No, actually, I've heard that a couple of times, and if I remember correctly, I had a smidgen of that, being an alcoholic, growing up in an alcoholic and violent family. So maybe a little bit I could understand, or maybe a little bit more than a little bit.
Well, why don't you share with our friends what your area of recovery is?
I grew up in an alcoholic, violent family. Started drinking when I was about 7, 8 years old, quit when I was 45, which means there's 38 years of incredibly stupid behavior that I was personally involved in. Got 22 years of recovery, and been working in the field of counseling and things for the last 20 years. So, and basically my journey is my story of recovery. And as I figured out what safe people and unsafe people were, and learned to set some boundaries, that was when I really started to get healthier, if you will. So that's the one thing that I would say is that learning, there's some basic rules I think we could share with the folks on just what safe people and unsafe people are, and see if that isn't helpful.
Well, and you are by profession a drug and alcohol counselor.
Well, that's part of it, yeah.
That's a big part of it, and amongst your other endeavors, like this wonderful show, Recovery Talk Live, which just is going to rock the world and help everyone get well, because it's my goal as a codependent to fix you. So, how do you like that statement?
I think it's part of the process.
Think I need a little more recovery?
I think there's help. I can help you though, dear.
Okay.
It'll be okay.
Okay, so let's tell everybody what safe people are.
Well, definition of safe people.
If you know one, I don't know.
I actually know one.
You do?
I do.
Can I have their number?
Yes.
Okay.
It's my office number.
I've got you on speed dial.
Yes.
You know,
Okay.
so good. Okay.
Learning to be safe was something that I've learned. I am safe, a lot.
So define it. Define what
safe
that
people,
is.
For
Doesn't
me,
mean you're not carrying a weapon.
No, safe people for me. The simplest definition I can come up with is somebody that you can trust and believe in, and is consistent in their dealings with you.
Yes.
And when they screw up, they say I'm sorry and mean it.
Ownership. Don't even
Yes.
get me going on ownership. They're very important.
All right.
Yes.
So that kind of concept for me was, I like it, keep it simple. I actually work on that myself. Am I truthful to me? Do I do things that in the process of the journey of recovery, can I tell the truth? And the answer is yes, a lot. That has made it safe for me to be around me. I don't lie, cheat, or steal much.
Okay, but you weren't, and I was not always like that. I told you in our last audio segment, I was most mortified. We have the Safe People book here, and I remember sharing with you and our listeners when we did our radio version that the most mortifying thing to me was reading this and realizing I was not a safe person, and then I had to stop reading for a while because I was going, oh no.
Well, we learned so, in our stupidity, if you will, we learned to lie, cheat, and steal.
Yeah.
So when you lie, cheat, and steal, how do you not lie, cheat, and steal?
It's not an overnight thing.
No, it's a journey.
It's a journey.
So for me, as I worked through the steps and had my sponsors and the people around me, the safe people that cared about me and held me accountable, the ability to tell the truth, to ownership, to own my stuff, to be able to say to people, I care about you and mean it, but that had to start with me. Right. And so part of my journey was becoming okay with me and the fact that I've done some things, but the interesting thing is that behaviors don't define us. And that's a tough one for an awful lot of people.
Yeah, well, they create our existence, though.
Well, we can talk about that.
If we choose to act in a certain way, our behaviors are, we're attracting a certain type of people.
Yes.
We're living a certain way.
Yes.
It may not define who we are at our core, but it's sure defining the way we choose to live our life.
It's true. But here's the but.
I'm getting nervous.
Yeah. Okay.
What are you going to do?
Here's the but. If I define myself as a behavior, then the question becomes, which behavior do I use?
Okay, I see where you're going.
For example, I got up this morning, brushed my teeth, combed my hair.
I'm so glad.
Put my clothes on. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Mandatory. Got
Yes.
Went to the bathroom.
Okay.
That's special for you to know. Yeah.
Thank you.
Had breakfast.
Sleep better now.
Yeah. And that whole process was all behaviors. I went out and got in my car, and I said, okay, God, this is your mess. Give me wisdom today.
So because of those behaviors, we know you're not an unclean nudist.
Well, partially. But
Yes.
which one of those behaviors defines me?
Those are just actions that you took as a part of your
now,
day.
here's the,
it's
here's
not
the
your
problem.
character.
Then if I go along and I say, I'm a liar, cheat, and a thief. Now, I didn't lie, cheat, or steal this morning, so do those behaviors define me?
No, and I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about right now or where we're going on this dance.
Okay.
Okay.
Because
so
it's about safe people.
It's about safe people.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you can trust me to tell the truth,
I do.
am I safe for you?
Yeah, I don't always like to hear it, but you always tell the truth.
Okay, so if I tell the truth, and am I defined as a truth teller, or am I defined as a person who tells the truth?
I think you're defined as a direct, get to the gut of it person.
No.
As far as me knowing you.
No. Because here's the problem.
You're making this up as
I
you go.
know.
Okay.
This is my belief system. Because my
All right.
belief system says that if a behavior defines me, then that means I've got to live in a behavior instead of having the freedom to be who I really am.
I think I just connected with you.
Okay.
Okay, so you're saying if you're an alcoholic or a drug addict or a codependent or a gambling addict or a shopaholic, you as a person were not born, that's not your identity, that is your action.
Exactly.
Hello, Dawn has just connected with the universe.
Okay.
I'm with
So,
you.
because that allows for change.
All right.
Okay. The process of me stopping drinking,
Yeah,
doing drugs,
that was rough.
it was very rough.
I know, it's
Okay.
a rough journey.
But since I no longer drink or use drugs, then alcohol and drugs don't define me.
I like it.
Okay? Who
Right.
I am, child of God, defines me.
Because drugs and alcohol altered who you were and altered
What
your
I did.
actions.
What I did and my actions.
Right.
Okay. Because here's the thing. Even though I was drinking and doing drugs and doing a lot of other things, I was still a child of God, but wasn't
Yes.
willing to understand or accept that. Because I defined myself as an alcoholic addict.
Right.
So I was unsafe for me.
That's what I mean. I was unsafe for me because of the codependent denial.
Okay.
There's days I can't even stand being around myself, and I'd like to leave myself in the back seat and come on in. Really? Have you ever had those days where you are just engaged in a behavior, and I'll look at myself, denial being a hard thing for me, and I'll think, did I just do that dance again? Because I stepped out of that waltz years ago, and bada bing, bada boom, there I am. It's not as detrimental as if you were taking a drink, but behavior, it's a behavior
the drink isn't
slippage.
the issue. The behavior is the issue. And the feelings that we have that drive us are the bigger deal. Because if I think I matter,
Yes.
how am I going to act?
As though you matter with self-worth.
Okay. If I don't think I matter, then how do I act? Because one of the things that I see
Like a
in
train
us,
wreck, as you always
train
say.
wreck,
Yes, the train wreck.
So here's the thing. If you look at one of the exercises, let me move
Okay.
over a notch.
All right.
One of the exercises I use in the office is that I ask somebody to take care of my dog. I have an international grand champion dog. The dog's worth about $200,000.
Oh, literally, or is this a hypothetical? So, like you literally say, "Here's Fluffy," and pet it and feed it and clean its poop.
Yeah, no, it's hypothetical.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking you really give them like
No.
dog therapy. Okay.
But the exercise
I'm
is then I
open-minded.
say, okay, I want you to take care of my dog for a week.
Okay.
Now, would you do that?
I
Would
am
you take care of
allergic
my
to
dog?
dogs, so I could not take
He's
care of your dog.
hypoallergenic,
Okay.
so you can be.
I will take care of Terry's
Okay.
hypoallergenic dog.
Okay, now, we have basic rules.
All right.
Rule number 1 is you have to feed him every day. I will give you the
Okay.
food. Can you do that?
Basic humanity, I can do that.
Okay, can you brush him every day? It takes about 5 minutes.
All right. Yeah.
Okay, we clean water every day. Can you do that?
It's not one of my kids, but I'll feed it. Yes,
Okay.
and drink it.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Now, will you play with my dog? My dog's a ball
Now
freak.
you're asking a lot.
But
Okay, I'll throw
you
the ball.
Throw the ball. The dog will
I don't
bring
know
the
where
ball.
we're
When the
going.
dog
All right.
stops, he's done.
Okay. Am I
You're
getting
done.
compensation for this?
For you, yes.
Okay, I just want to know.
I
All
will
right.
pay you
It's a
$500
non-dog
for the
person.
week.
All right, so I'm engaged. I'm
Okay,
giving it
now-
fresh cold water now.
Ooh,
All right.
okay, so we're moving along there.
I'm getting paid.
So here's the thing. Okay,
All right.
so I have a dog. Now, here's the other rules. You
Yes.
can't get him drunk. no smoking,
Okay.
no drugs,
Okay.
okay, no wild parties. He goes to bed at about 9 o'clock at night. You put him in a dark place. He's fine.
Okay.
Now, can you do all that?
Yes.
Here's the question. If you can do that for a dog, why don't you do that for you?
Ouch. Because I was with you up until the go to bed at 9. I have a hard time with the going to bed
I got that part.
But yes.
That's what happens to us is
Yes.
that we don't think that we'll take care of ourselves, but we'll take care of a dog that is valuable. And so the process, to me, seems pretty crazy.
It does.
It's like, why would I take care of a dog and I won't take care of me?
I know why.
Tell me.
Because we get so damaged in our childhood, something happens where we lose our self-worth and we look to other avenues because we don't have value.
So value. Okay, so now, that's my question. Because
Okay.
if I
What's
can
your
get you to
question?
look at your value, if I
Okay.
can look at you to who you are, child of God,
Mm-hmm.
if you can look at that kind of stuff, then could it change your behaviors?
Yes.
Yes.
That's work
That's
to
work.
find the value.
Okay, but we got to start somewhere.
Because if you're sitting at home lighting something up, you shouldn't be lighting up. You're not having value. It's true.
Okay, so we go back
Or
to
shopping.
Go
If
back
you're
to
on the
save
Home
people.
Shopping Club in another channel right now,
Go back to save
numbing
people.
out.
Go back to save people.
Yes.
Okay, you got to be back to save people now. Because
Yes.
save people act how? Save people care about you. Save
Right.
people want what's best for you. Save people can say no.
Yeah, safe people can. That's why you can't. Sometimes you're not safe yourself.
There you go.
That's
So
the whole
learning
connection.
to be safe, learning to be able to say no to yourself, that's the journey.
That's the journey.
Okay? So I think we
I'm
need to take a break.
exhausted from
So
this
we'll be
journey.
back in a minute.
On Recovery
Thanks.
Talk Live with Don and Terry.
You're watching Recovery Talk Live. If you would like to contact Don and Terry, please send your email to recoverytalklive@gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or insight, we'd love to hear from you. Your identity will remain anonymous, and your name will not be revealed on air. Again, send your email to recoverytalklive@gmail.com.
Welcome back to Recovery Talk Live with Don Maxwell and Terry Ladow. I'm Don.
I must be Terry.
You must be Terry. It
I
could be
must be.
confusing. I could be Don.
Yeah,
or you could be Don and I could be Terry with
yeah.
an I. So it could happen. We're back here with Sue Rhoades today from the Gate Church in Rancho Santa Margarita. And Sue, welcome.
Hi,
You are our
thank
first
you.
guest
Thank
to
you.
Recovery Talk Live. And right before we started rolling, you were sharing with us how you came to recovery. Could you share that story?
Sure. My husband actually went through recovery, and so I developed a real heart for it at that point because it saved our marriage, really. And then I got asked to lead worship for a couple recovery programs before we started one at the Gate, and I just felt God really telling me that, you know what, there's stuff in your past that you have not dealt with yet, and you need to be a part of the program, not just lead worship for it.
So you went from on stage to engaged in the process.
That's a good way to put it. Yes, yes, very much, very much. I had a heart for it, like I said, and I'm really glad I did. I didn't really think I needed it. Thought my husband needed it, but I didn't need it. But I had a lot of things in my past that I just never dealt with, and I found that out real quick.
So you were generous enough, and the Gate Churches in Rancho Santa Margarita, they have a wonderful recovery program.
We do.
And as you know, Terry and I and our producer Colin are involved in another show, a reality show that's upcoming called The Recovery Bus. We needed some B-roll, some secondary footage, and you were generous enough to let us do some shooting at your church. And it was during that time that Sue said, let's hurry before the real group gets here because they'll be
Yes.
parking around the corner and we want to protect their anonymity.
Right.
And that actually piqued Colin's interest. Colin's a non-recovery person, so it's a perfect
Yeah,
time.
he's
Yeah.
he's weird.
He's just perfect. He has no issues whatsoever. It's the only one we know like
No,
that.
he's weird.
Isn't he?
No, we have
No,
a
he's
group for
seriously
that
weird.
too.
Yeah, we do. Okay,
The
okay.
weird
Well,
group, yeah.
we're going to get him eventually. Okay, we'll get him eventually. So can you elaborate on when you made that comment? That's what people feel shame. Terry and I, you were just talking about coming out of the closet.
Yeah.
He's open with his stuff, and
Yeah, we were talking about safe people and those things, and that's what people need to learn, and it's not an easy journey. That was some of the things we were
Yeah.
talking about, is that because of our histories. You said there was a bunch of stuff that was in your past that needed to be cleaned up. So, yeah, if you could kind of just make that a little bit bigger for the people, because
Yeah, I think sometimes I know, and as a Christian, I felt that that I should just be able to deal with all of that. You know, I should just be able to be done with it and push it away. And you can't do that. You know, you can't just push it away. And it doesn't have to be an addiction like we were talking about. It can be anything. It can be things that have hurt you, other people that have hurt you that had nothing to do with you. And it affects us and it hurts us. And the only way that I've learned now that to deal with that is just to have a safe place, like you guys said, to have a safe place and be able to share those things and get them out so that you have a chance to heal them. So God has a chance to heal them through the other people that are around you too.
Yeah, one of the things that I found in my journey, and we're talking about, in fact, I spoke at the Crossing Church, which is in Costa Mesa,
Yes.
on the fifth step,
Yeah.
and we were talking about admit to God, ourselves, and another human being. I like to put that you can trust.
Yes.
Because I think that's important.
Exactly.
That when you put it out there, when you put it on the table, people go, oh, okay. And the shame and a lot of the stuff that we were afraid of being embarrassed, afraid of all this stuff, just kind of goes away because we've admitted to God, ourselves, and another human being.
Yeah.
So,
And I think we find out too that all of a sudden, you know, like, oh wow, we're not the only ones dealing with this.
oh, that's big.
You know,
Yes.
we're not the only ones dealing with it. And I went through that a lot. And I think there's an encouragement in that. You know, that one thing for me with recovery is that I realize that everybody has something. Everybody's been hurt. Everybody's dealt with something. And so you also start to look at other people a little differently, for me,
True.
because you don't know what somebody's going through. And to have a safe place to be able to come and share that and realize that you're not alone in this and that other people have walked through it, I think that's a big part of recovery too.
And every time I know for myself, every time I speak my hurt, it loses power.
Yeah, it's interesting because you said, did you see yourself differently as you wandered through this stuff, as you were able to share it? Because many times entering into a program like this, we don't see ourselves as valuable or significant. And then as we, like you were just saying, as we start saying, hey, this is me, I'm a train wreck on a good day, that it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And okay.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think so. Because you realize it's okay to be that way. You know, it's okay to struggle. It's okay to have a tough time walking through it. And then I think as you get down the road a little bit, you start to realize that, okay, God's still got a plan for all of this. God's got a purpose for this. God wants me to now use this to reach out to somebody else, and He's going to use this mess or this brokenness or whatever, and He's gonna use it. And that's kind of get to that toward the end, and you get encouraged to share then, and you know, so that other people can realize that you know, this is a safe place that you can come.
So Sue, you are such a good example for us because you are not an addict, because we're trying to show it's not for addict, and you, Sue Rhoades, are out of the closet, and you're not afraid to sit here and tell us I'm in recovery. What was that pivotal moment for you where you decided, you know, yeah, I can come sit here on Recovery Talk, I can say this is who I am, this is where I go, this is what I did? What was that defining moment where you
Well, the real
didn't have to
defining
park around the
moment
corner?
for me to come was when you called me, because I had to make
2
that
days
decision.
ago, yes, it's like, okay.
But we're encouraged, you know, to share our testimony.
Yeah.
And I honestly struggled with that for a while. I kind of hesitated. I didn't want to do it. And Pastor David's wife at the gate asked me if I would do it for our women's group, for our women's Bible study. And I just could not say no to her. And so that was kind of what got me to say, okay, I need to put this down on paper. That I need to do this. I know God wants me to do this. I need to do it. So I did it for our women's Bible study. And then after that, then I was open to doing it for our recovery group as well.
So she asked you to tell your story. And you stood up and said, hi, I'm a mess. And no body parts fell off. And nobody threw rocks at you.
Yep.
And you went, wow.
Yeah, you were still loved.
Yeah. And there's there's that vulnerability too. There's a big part of that, and being willing to be open and vulnerable about what happened to you, or what you've struggled with, or what you've walked through. And that, just for me, I will speak, that's a huge thing for me, to be willing to be vulnerable like that. And it's hard.
Do you find now that it's easier and easier and easier for you to tell your story, and that when you tell the story, people go, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a connection that happens fairly quickly now.
Like a Me Too.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I think that I've had several people come up and go, all these years I knew you, I never knew you walked through all of that.
Yeah.
And it makes me aware of other people to understand that too. And struggling kind of sometimes what to share, like how much should I be honest? And I struggle with that. And I did share something that I had not shared ever except in recovery. And I had somebody come up to me after, and she said, I knew exactly what you were going to say when you started talking, because I'm struggling with the same thing. Yes. I think we need to just take a chance with that and do that.
It's interesting. In my journey, in recovery, I had a sponsor who was a mean, horrible, despicable human being, because he wouldn't let me lie to him. He wouldn't let me he wouldn't let me hide. He wouldn't let me do anything.
He's the one who died, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob Stevens.
Killed him. It's okay.
Yeah, I did.
All right, I know.
And the gift that he gave me was that there's nothing that's so horrible that you can't put it out there, because somebody else is walking down that same street. And so in my journey, I don't think I have any secrets. So if you want to know anything about me, I'll tell you. You have pretty much, and in that is an immense amount of freedom for me. I mean, and that's why, you know, I tell people, you know, I'm a train wreck. You know, I'm a mess. But God has blessed each step of that thing. Everywhere I've gone, everything that I've done, God has been there. And so it's not that bad. You know, I think you said what makes me get out of bed in the morning is that there's a plan here. There's a process that God's got in this place. So who I am in this thing is somebody who says, this is where I've been, this is what I've done, can I help? And that's what standing up in front of audiences and telling people our story does for them. It's a freedom thing.
Yeah.
I think it's important to mention, though, as you both know, and to the people watching, that you don't start that way. You don't start, nor are you pressured at any meeting that you go to for the first time to walk in and share the whole mess.
Right.
No one makes you talk.
That's why it's a fifth step.
Well, I'm just thinking now, as we're sitting here, all of us in recovery, people may not have an idea, you know,
that's a good point.
of what it's
That's
like
really
when you
true.
go
That's a
to
good point.
a 12-step meeting or a recovery group meeting. It's anonymous. The chairs are in a circle. You go around and say your name. That's all you have to say. If you can utter your name, and you could even make it up. You never use a last name, and you are not forced to talk. And I think that's very important to share, because I know a lot of people who don't go, because they might be hearing all of us out of the closet and think, I'm not sharing my stuff.
Right.
But what you can learn by listening to other people's pain is enormous.
You learn you're not alone. I think you said
Exactly.
that very loudly. And I think that's one of the things that we have to recognize, is that it is not a journey of alone. It's a journey that many other people have taken. And so come join us. I mean, it's an interesting and absolutely freeing opportunity to get your life back.
And just the fact, as we wrap up, as a leader, that you were so protective of those women. You said, look, they're parking around the corner so no one sees them here. That just really validates the core of recovery, and the anonymity and the safety. That you can park around the corner and nobody's going to out you, and people like you will be saying, get the cameras out and be gone. So this is a safe place for our attenders.
Right.
That's awesome.
And if I were to see you in church on Sunday, I wouldn't even say, I'll see you Wednesday night. You know, we don't even say that.
We don't
Would I
even
get a
say
hug?
that.
Totally protected, huh?
Would I get a hug?
You would absolutely get a hug.
Maybe a hug. Depends who it is.
You would absolutely get a hug.
I know.
I might hit you, but I sure give you a hug.
That's why you're in the middle.
I'm just saying.
I
you
think
know,
I like her better.
Yeah, well.
So anyway, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again shortly.
On Recovery Talk Live with Dawn and Terry. Thanks so much. And thank you, Sue Rhoades, for
Thank
joining us.
you very
being
much
our
You're
for
the best.
having me.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You've been watching Recovery Talk Live. If you have questions, comments, concerns, or insight, we'd love to hear from you. Send your email to recoverytalklive@gmail.com. That's recoverytalklive@gmail.com. Look for new episodes every week, and thanks for watching Recovery Talk Live.